Seriously, guys, it's just my hand. It's not an actual puppet. Anyway, so look right here. This is what you guys are going to be filling out, and you might actually want to get it nice and close. I'll be sending this to you as well, but there's going to be 3 parts to this next part of. This is the 3rd part. Okay, there'll be 4 parts in total, and this is the 3rd part. So here we have the background information, and this is where you're going to tell me a lot of the information that's in these parts right here in the pan over here. This kind of stuff here in the background information is going to be right here that you can read for. So for example, here's the first question: who wrote the book? Let's go to our introduction to the Ephesians, which you can find, which I'm looking here in this ESV commentary that we've mentioned before. And here it says, Pauline authorship of Ephesians was universally accepted until modern times. Well, that means it's going to tell you about a bunch of other stuff, like about reasons why some people don't think so. But if you're reading this second paragraph, what it says here is, however, there are sound reasons to affirm that Paul wrote Ephesus. Pauline authorship here, that's just a nominative way of saying his name. Authorship, author, okay. Paul wrote Ephesus, that's what it's saying. And so in here, what you would do is you would start by saying, Paul is accepted to be the author. Okay? And notice how what I'm doing is I'm actually putting all of these questions on the bottom, because this is going to be written in paragraph format. And so obviously you're not going to do this, but you're going to be writing, period, oops, forgot spaces. You see how it's going to be in paragraph format? You're only going to be using these questions to help you know what you should write in there. So obviously you're looking about 6 sentences in total, so not a lot. Anyway, you go into the next part right here, and this says what happened earlier in the book that you are studying. And now obviously this is going to be past this. So that first part right here that we just did, where it says background information, that will be only right here. After this, the previous context is going to be what happens before your passage. So let's go to my passage in Ephesians chapter 2. And that's right here. It's right at the beginning, right? And I don't think any of you have any passages that are either right at the beginning or right at the end. All of you are somewhere in the middle, if I remember right, except for maybe one of you. And we'll figure out what to do there. But so I'm going to look at here. So I start here. Chapter 2, verse 1. So that means what I have to do is I need to know what happened here. So that means I'm going to read chapter 1, just so I know what Paul is talking about. Okay? And then going back to the previous context, I'm going to write about what happened earlier, right here. What happened earlier. Now I'll use words like first, first Paul writes about God's grace to us in salvation, period. Then, yes, you guys know these words, right? These sequential words. Then, blah, 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 period. Then you got after that, blah, 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 blah. You guys get this, right? You know how to do this. I'm sure you've written something like this a million times, whether it's in school or writing something to your parents, whatever have you. Next, we have the later context. Now, I believe there is actually one group who did pick a passage that starts at the beginning. So if you picked a passage that was either all the way in the beginning or all the way at the end, then what you'll do is you'll just tell us what happens, either everything after it or everything before it. So you don't have to do that one section. But then, let's say for example, I only did Ephesians 1, chapter 1, verses 1 through 11 or something like that. Well, then my later context My later context would be a lot longer then. My later context would be a lot longer. But I think most of you are in the middle, so that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to have someone in my group read chapters 2 through 11, chapter 2, verse 11, and then we're going to read to the very end of the book. Now, you do not have to read the all of this stuff in the bottom here, this stuff in the commentary section. You don't have to read that. You can if you would like, but all you have to do is read the rest of the chapter so that you know what happens after that. And so what you do then is you come back here and you write, and then you'll begin yours. Everyone will begin the same way. After our passage, what happens? Okay, so that'll be different for all of you. Okay, blah 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 blah. And now I'm not going to give you a sentence like what I require for each for how many sentences, but I kind of would like. I mean, think about it. Everyone in the church is going to be able to see this, and so think about a good paragraph for both of these. Now I know one of your groups is doing a Psalms. And then you wouldn't have to do really either previous context or later context. So if you're doing a psalm, let me know. And I actually have a special thing for you. Yes, Isaiah, that's you. Otherwise, I think the rest of you are usually something in the middle. I know I can think of 2 other groups actually that have either one at the very, very end or one at the very, very beginning. And if that's the case, obviously you just do an extended. Say, for example, your passage is all the way at the beginning. You do a longer, later context. So it's either one or the other. So thanks for watching this. Maybe next time, me and my friends, Mr. Woolsworth, could maybe, do a little more of the show together. What do you think about that, Mr. Woolsworth? It's a sock puppy. He doesn't say anything, you guys. Stop expecting that he's going to say something. Anyway, see you later, guys. Just kidding. This was me again. Okay, we're done.